Welcome to Live from the Artisan Studio, to our studio audience and to you. Tonight's theme is old versus new, befitting for tonight's musician, Chicago's own Dan Tedesco. He's an old school sensibility musician with a lot of contemporary thoughts as well. So happy you're joining us live from the Artisan Studio.
Well, it's a 2020 downbeat and hold your breath again. Broadcasting voices we lost our faith in. What it means to be a human and how to make a change. In pursuit of the lost art of conversation. People go, people follow, and they unfollow. Soon as the sun beats hot, does the cool wind blow? I wouldn't put too much on your expectations. And it's a body image backflip and a shot of dopamine. Idolizing the new viral sensation. A morning coffee on the front porch and put away your phone. In pursuit of the lost art of conversation. Steinbeck and Anthony Bourdain. We got ourselves in quite the situation. So look them straight in the eyes with enough money to be heard. In pursuit of the lost art of conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for traveling to be with us, Dan.
My pleasure to do it. Thank you for
Really
having me.
appreciate it. If that song does not represent old versus new, I don't know what does. And that's from this album,
Yep,
right?
Days of Rock and Roll. Yeah, Lost Art of Conversation sort of sums up a major theme that I think you'd find in pretty much almost everything I've written, which is, I think, inspired by the generation I grew up in, which sort of straddles the pre-internet with post-internet, and not just internet, but just the technology boom of the early 90s up to what's still going on now. And trying to not lose some of the humanity that I think sometimes gets lost in the conversations that we have on the internet, through social media, through text messaging, even through FaceTime and things like that, which are still, somewhat more personal in that you're looking at somebody. But just to slow those things down and remember that just remember what it means to be alive, to be in the moment, because this stuff is it's going by and it's coming at you at the same time, and you have to balance that somehow.
It's not about talking at somebody. It's about the exchange of conversation.
And I go back to that it's just a theme I just keep going back to, and this song really puts it pretty front and center.
That's great. Now, you grew up in Chicago.
Yep.
And you were a musical kid. You played a lot of instruments before you hit puberty.
Yeah, I did.
Piano, violin, guitar.
Yep, that's right. Once I got to the guitar, which I think I was in 6th grade, that was sort of the end of everything else. I still played some sports, but I really that became my thing. Like, I spent most of my time with the guitar, hours a day. It's like the stories you hear about people doing that kind of thing. I was definitely that kid. And I pretty much, I don't want to say sacrificed because it wasn't the way I was thinking at the time, but looking back at it now, I sort of did sacrifice junior high and high school for the sake of what I was going after. But it wasn't a sacrifice because that was just what I needed to do.
Right.
So,
well, I read somewhere that you had kind of referred to yourself as a social outcast because you were so obsessed with your music. Is that what the Outlier is all about?
I think that's certainly in there. That song, I took the title from a book written by a guy named Malcolm Gladwell called The Outlier, which just talks about these things that are literal outliers that occur, and oftentimes these things. I'm not talking, like, mathematically people will talk about outliers, but I mean, like, even like in a cultural sense, if you use it as an analogy, these outliers are things that oftentimes inspire the world, whether they're people or events, and they're the things that move us forward into uncharted territory because they're these people or things that get us looking at the world in ways we've never seen it before.
Right.
And so artistically, if you're a creative person, you're always looking for your own voice. And yeah, you're spending time by yourself honing your craft, which puts you in this sort of, I don't want to say outcast place, but it does kind of make you feel like an outcast because you're not doing all the things you watch everybody else doing. And then little by little, you find other people that are in those spaces, and you create these relationships there. And if you're lucky, as you get older, you have people around you that can encourage you to go further into that place and further into yourself, because that's where the great stuff happens. That's where the magic happens. It's not in the crowd in the middle. It's the people that are questioning everything and batting everything around and breaking stuff and figuring out new ways to do things. That's where I like to be, and I'm the most interested in people that are in those spaces, and that song is just a way to maybe to put that out in words and music, and kind of sum it up.
Well, and even if people aren't artists, they have things within themselves that make them unique.
Exactly.
And different.
And so that's a song that I think connects so universally with people because everyone at some point in their life has felt like that, in their own respective way. So, there you have it.
Let's hear it.
All right.
The Outlier.
Always been an outlier, pretty kind of misfire. Tried to be an insider, never was a good liar. Some things you can't rewire, so I found my own desire. Hear the auto-tune choir, don't it make you so tired? Always been an outlier, pretty kind of misfire. Never swam the mainstream, and kids can be so mean. Some things you can't rewire, so I found my own desire. Hear the auto-tune choir. Don't it make you so tired? I'll always be an outlier. I'll always be an outlier. Always been an outlier, pretty kind of misfire, just a step behind the times, out of rhythm, out of rhyme, some things you can't rewire, so I found my own desire, hear the auto-tune choir, don't it make you so tired? I'll always be an outlier. I'll always be an outlier. I'll always be an outlier. I'll always be an outlier.
As far as tonight's theme of old and new, I think you have everything that we want in an old-fashioned songwriter. You've got great storytelling, a big heart, and you're not too literal, so we can kind of apply your lyrics to our own lives,
Yeah.
which is great. So if that's the old part of the equation for tonight's theme, let's talk about what is new and what is really different, and that's the way that you're distributing your content and your music.
Yeah. So the Dan Tedesco Music Channel, which I call the DTMC, is a platform that I launched. I first did it in 2011, and it didn't really work right. Just the way it was built didn't function very, very effectively. So I killed it after about a year and a half, and said maybe I'll look at this again down the road somewhere. And you fast forward to the pandemic when there was a forced break from playing, and I had a chance to think about something like that again. And I was like, this is maybe the best time that I'm ever going to have to take another crack at this. And a big motivating factor to creating the channel was everybody in music and in art, not just music, laments technology. They argue against it, they fight against it, they rail against it. It's not going away. So rather than take that kind of old man yelling at the wind approach, I wanted to find a way to use the technology and be able to connect and communicate the things that I care about artistically in the ways that I would have in the physical media days of when I was growing up, but just reappropriated for the way that we actually work now. So yes, there are people that are into vinyl, and that's wonderful, and I have some stuff on vinyl. Lots of artists are doing great selling vinyl. But in the grand scheme of the world, that's still a pretty small percentage of people. And I don't want to limit everyone to just being able to listen to my stuff on vinyl. The streaming game has its pluses and minuses, but with the channel, it gives me a way to package everything I'm doing and deliver it to people in a way that's very simple and direct. They don't have to chase me around on social media. They don't have to chase around the algorithms. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to care about Spotify or Apple Music, because some people don't. They don't have to care about Facebook or Instagram. It's all done by email, which everybody has, and it's always there. And everything on the channel goes out in these program broadcasts that I write, and I link everybody through the emails to music and video and all the different pieces of the channel, and that goes out every week. So you hear from me very frequently. Every Monday night, 8 o'clock, it goes out. It'll be in your inbox. And then from there, you can dive into it and go wherever you want with it. And it's where all of my music is if you go to the streaming sites, you're only going to get singles for the most part. My full releases are all on the channel. They have full lyrics, full artwork, full production credits. You can download them, so if you're into that, you can take the files.
Modern day liner notes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
You have modern day liner notes, and it's all just right there. You don't have to, you can do it on your phone or your computer. It's very simple, very straightforward. I don't know a better way to do it, honestly. I don't know what would be better than setting it up like that. You know, the one thing that hangs some people up is that it's not free. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. But other than that, you know, it's the best way that I know to be able to deliver what it is that I do in the way that I want it delivered. And it gives you complete flexibility in how you take it in. And it's a way for us to have a transaction so that you're supporting me, which is the way it should work.
Right.
So,
and it's also a communication pipeline, right? It goes both ways. It's
does.
not just you distributing your stuff.
It goes out to everybody, but because by the nature of email, they can send me notes back. I talk to people on there all the time from all different parts of the world. The channel's been doing well enough that it's really kind of got its legs out there now, and it's kind of a beautiful thing how it's working. So
shifting to your current album, I think this ties in with it, and it's how you're distributing this album.
That's right.
You're not doing it as a traditional album all
No.
at once, right? This is the overwhelming. This is the latest, and you're in the midst of releasing
I
it
am.
now.
I'm almost halfway. Yeah, and to go kind of along with that idea of reappropriating things, I reimagined how to release a record, thinking about people's attention spans and how much you're asking of someone to sit down and listen to 35 to 60 minutes of music and really be focused and listening to it, when realistically someone might do that. They might listen to songs when they pop up in a playlist or something. This is a way that I can take people through the journey a song at a time. And it's almost like it follows like the way that shows are built out on some of the streaming sites, where you get like an episode at a time. And I think giving people a song a month with some of the additional pieces that I kind of fleshed the song out with, much like liner notes again, you know, throughout the weeks through the month, you get all these different pieces that go along with the music to focus on that song. And then the next month, another song comes on and it builds it to that. Now you've got 2 songs. Next month, 3rd song. And you can go back and listen to them together. And then when the whole thing is done, you can go back and listen to the whole sequence.
Then it's got to be a whole new experience, because then you have it in proper context.
Now the other thing I have thought about doing is maybe putting a whole record out at once on the channel and reversing it and then breaking it down just to change it up occasionally, to maybe do something different. But as of right now, I really like the way it feels, just going a song at a time, and it gives everyone a chance to really ingest it, and it not just makes sense to me, but it feels right artistically. So.
Great.